Wade and Lee from the Two Barbarians. 7 months ago, we booked tickets from Christchurch to Melbourne to go to the biggest toy show we've ever been to.
The monster-sized vintage and modern toy fair.
And we each had $1,000 New Zealand to spend. We'd saved it up over 7 months. And in between booking tickets, we'd also been in contact with a lot of different content creators from Australia. So we all met up beforehand and we had 2 solid days of hunting toys in Melbourne, and it all culminated in going to the monster-sized toy fair. And you've all been dying to know, what did that $1,000 get us?
Wait, I just made it. Are we in, am I in time to get a lift on the Raven over to Melbourne?
Yeah, it's all fueled up and ready to go at supersonic Mach 7.
Mach 7, nice, nice. Well, I'm ready. I've got my suitcase and I've got my pass.
Yep, same. Yeah.
Hang on, that's Armageddon.
That's a few months ago, isn't it? We better ditch that one and got the media pass. So, you ready for the parachute when we get there?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's go get some toys.
So we rocked up 1 hour early to the Monster Size Fair. We'd secured media passes from the organiser event, so thanks very much to Will.
Yep, that was awesome to let us turn up a little bit earlier. We got to go in with the early birders and we hung in a little area with the other influencers, such as Dean and Sarah, Scree, Scotty Crusher, Chris from G'day Geeks, and Ryan from Ryan the Collector Kid. Who else was there? Simple Simon was there. There's a whole bunch of us, so that was fun. We were just basically the anticipation of looking out and not being able to...
And scoping out what we wanted to see, because it looked like it was never ending from once you actually first got there.
We were on the end, looking down the full length of that place. It's absolutely huge. It looks like, I don't know, 3 airplane hangars joined together. So
yeah, and the Night Raven didn't actually fit in it, so we had to leave that out. And right at the start, I honestly didn't know where to go. So I was running around like a headless chicken, trying to find something to buy to start with. And I think I was running around for about 10 minutes before I even found something I wanted to buy. So, because all of the content creators, we sort of rushed off in sort of different directions. Because if Lee and I basically stayed together the whole time, we would have just trodden over each other looking for different things.
Yeah, I think we cover more ground going our separate ways. One thing right at the start is I'd heard a rumour about Uncle T's having these $5 bins, and there could have been a junkyard from Toxic Crusaders in it. So we could see where he was from where we were waiting. So that was my first point of call, really, was just to go straight there, dig through the tubs. I didn't end up finding it, or he wasn't in there anymore. So, and by the time I had a quick dig through those bins, everyone was gone. So then it was just a free-for-all.
Yeah, and I spent about 10 to 15 minutes trying to find something to buy, and in the end, after much wandering around, I came across a modern Ultimate Warrior figure that I didn't have. So I sort of dropped $30 on that. I'll just grab this Warrior if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. Is that cash or card?
Cash.
Yeah, cool.
That's all right. So I'm from New Zealand, so I've got all these Australian notes in there. I was like, that's the wrong colour for me. And that sort of set me off, and I thought, right, now I've got in my groove, what am I going to find next?
You broke the seal on the wallet.
Broke the seal, yeah, because that money, that was just waiting to be spent, right? It was basically...
Well, we weren't going to go home with any money left, I mean.
No.
And like you say, you took 15 minutes to find something to buy, but you probably saw so many things you could buy, but you almost need to do a quick pass just to see, like, you don't want to spend all your money in the first...
No.
There's 500 tables, right? So, you know...
But you also wanted to get the good stuff before other people came in and got it. So, because you're waiting once those early birds had finished, the other ones were going to come in.
Yeah, I wonder how many early bird tickets were pre-sold, I'd have to say. 500?
Don't know, no, because for the first hour, it felt, it was quite spacious, right? That first hour, there was a lot of space for everyone to sort of
There is a
go
lot
around.
of space anyway, but yeah, at the tables they could be a little bit crowded, but
yeah, later on. So after I'd gone up and down a few different aisles, I managed to find actually a junkyard with both its legs intact, which Lee had been hunting for.
Yeah.
So I
All I
found
needed
out,
was one leg, so I didn't mind about the rest of them.
and I was holding on to it furiously, trying to get in touch with Lee. Except he said that he'd put his phone off because he didn't want to get distracted from hunting.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't get hold of him, so then I was trying to send him videos of it.
Hey, mate.
How you doing, mate? Just my mate's just over there.
It's all right, my mate's just here.
Yeah, I know, he's just over there. I'm just trying to get a hold of him. As a message, hoping that he'd look at it. And then next thing you know, I turn around and he was there.
Yeah. We were probably, maybe a third of the way into all the tables when I just looked over and saw Wade, and I was like, oh, well, I better go catch up with him and see what he's got. And of course, he waved the junkyard at me, so I'm like, oh.
And
awesome.
that was $15. That table was really awesome. That's like Lando almost.
Yeah, it looks Apollo Creedy.
Yeah.
He's always was
Have you
my
got him?
favourite. Walter.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But I don't have him.
Yeah. So I'm Wade, sorry, and this is Lee. We're the two Barbarians. We're from New Zealand, so we've flown over from Christchurch. Because I just before Lee arrived, I also picked up a knockoff, a combo figure, and then the floodgates opened because Lee saw about 5 things that he picked up, and then I started getting a little bit jealous. So I picked up a Mythics Legion figure that I thought was really cool and fit of my Master of the Universe stuff. So that table was really cool. And I think one of the funniest things is when I said to the guy, I said, listen, I'm trying to find my friend. And he goes, my friend's right next to me. Yeah. So it was, there was lots of good humour amongst the vendors, right?
There was,
so,
yeah, they were great to talk to. One thing I noticed is that if you found a table and they had multiples of the things that I'd like to buy, we already had something in common, so you'd end up finding yourself just having a bit of a chat to them, and yeah, it was good.
So that was our first sort of buying experience together, and then after that, I bumped into Lee again. Lee was with Scott Crusher, and they were at Brad's Ninja.
Brad Chagus's the sewer there.
Yeah, they were at his always Ninja Turtle things, and actually it was quite cool to see people like Scott tick things off on their list that they were looking for. Scott was looking for a Dr. L, which he managed to find. Did you grab your Dr. L?
I got a Dr. L, yeah.
Cool. I mean the Turtles in Time one.
What's that?
That's Turtles in Time, isn't it?
Yeah, that's movie 3.
Yeah, movie 3, yeah. And he was also looking for a Sandstorm, which he didn't find. Did you get your Sandstorm?
No Sandstorm here, unfortunately.
So,
but I managed to find something that I was looking for, which was a Rock and Roll Mondo Gecko. So I've had the 4-band Rock and Roll Turtles for ages, and I thought he'd be cool to have. So yeah, thanks for that, Brad.
But it was really cool just to actually see some of these people we've become good friends with them, over just a couple of days. Pick up things that they've been looking for a long time.
Yeah, it makes it worthwhile. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I like samurais, so. Yeah, and one of the other cool things was seeing Ryan, the collector kid, he pulled out of his bag 4 carded Tiger Toys Inspector Gadgets.
Yeah, awesome.
And you'd already seen those earlier in the...
Yeah, I'd seen the table, but again, it's like, pricey, not really my thing, but also there's so much stuff. There's so much carded things like, Captain Planet and Tailspin. It's just too much. And they definitely stood out to me.
Yeah.
And then to see him pull like 4 of them out of his bag was pretty awesome, so...
Yeah, and one other thing that people are probably quite interested in is that you saw sort of extremes. You saw, some of the common figures and then harder to find figures, but they were carded. So basically for the WF Hasbro range, I was looking for a Razor Ramon. There was no Razor Ramon there. There were a couple of, very common $1 Million Man figures. And then you had sort of carded green card figures at the opposite end. So there was something for everyone really, but sometimes just those middle type purchases that you're looking for, that you're wanting to tick off, they were actually sort of a little bit harder to find.
Yeah, I think a fair like that, people are going to bring out the big guns, the heavy hitting stuff, and it's going to have those kind of price tags on it. Whereas I think for the majority of the show, I was quite happy just digging through the tubs, like pull out your loosies. Yeah. What do you got in bags? Yeah. It's all hidden away. You have to actually dig to find it, so it's like a treasure hunt.
Yeah, and at one point I was looking at these acrylic cased lots of figures. There was New Adventures of He-Man. There were other things, and I saw a Dragon's Fighter, which is a knockoff of a Chuck Norris vintage toy, and I picked it up, and then next thing you know, my phone rings. It's Lee saying, "I found some M-Force figures. I found some M-Force figures," and then it was like, "Nah." I'm just going to buy a Chuck Norris knockoff. Which is quite fun, so a little bit more than I wanted to pay, but it's really cool, so really nice conditions. So I basically put it back down again, much to the dismay of the seller.
Well, I didn't say you couldn't buy it. But...
I know, but I need to get to these M-Force figures, so I rushed over. You can probably tell here the footage of me rushing. It's such a big fear that get from one end to the other takes a while.
So a lot of our viewers are probably wondering, what is M-Force?
So M-Force is basically a sort of a knockoff. Would you actually call it a knockoff, or would you call it a bootleg? What do you reckon it is?
No, it's not a bootleg. If it was a bootleg, it'd literally be like stolen off another sculpt.
So it's definitely it's a knockoff of Rambo military style figures from a time. But this one here, he's my third one I've got. So the story goes, I saw one I didn't have, but thought I did have it, but it was a similar sculpt, but he didn't have a single on, a slightly different coloured hair. So I left that one behind, but never mind. That's the price you pay as a collector sometimes when you're uncertain. So I actually should be better documenting what I have sometimes, but that's okay. And at one point, I came across a tub of accessories. We are now tub diving, going through accessories. Everything is $5 each here, and I'm the only one going through it. So, this is what it's all about. I need to find something in here. I felt a bit sorry for the seller because he had lots of figures on the table, but some of the accessories were in the box, which are $5 only. So you get that sort of conundrum of being a collector, for that sort of moral police game. Do you actually own up and say, well, if you put that with that, that would sell for more? But in the heat of the moment, I bought some figures, and then I bought some accessories which didn't go with any of the figures that were on the table. So. So we just didn't have time. We would have really loved to help. I think you put together 2 accessories.
I did pull out a couple of things and said to him, but hey, by the way, I don't know if you know, but this thing goes with that thing on your table. And he was, I think he would have liked to have sat down and probably spent a bit more time going through it, but it is what it is. He just, there were those figures and there was a bin of accessories.
If we had a good half an hour, we could have pulled out all sorts of things and fixed up the table for him.
Oh, I wanted to take that whole box home.
Unfortunately, it wouldn't fit in the Night Ravens cargo.
We're talking Transformers, Skull Warriors, Centurions, He-Man knockoffs. What else was there? Brave Star bits. So I raided this bin first and then called Lee and said, you better get over here. I see Brave Star bits that you might need. I've seen Centurions bits. I've also seen other bits that you probably want from Skeleton Warriors. So I called him over and we both had a good rummage through it. I think we went back for about a 4th rummage at one point too, didn't we? So towards the end we did a bit of a good deal on some of the bits that were still there. It was a big tub, and like little accessories is like trying to like sift through it and sort them out, and we were pulling them out, and like this, I know what this one is and we know what that one is. So that was fun.
Since this was the first international toy show that Lee and I had been to together, Lee was unaware that I have a habit of always saying that I'm from New Zealand whenever I go somewhere. For example, when I went to Seattle, Emerald City Comic Con 4 years in a row, I had a tendency to say, I'm from New Zealand. I love his so distorted legs, eh? Good God, it's freaky.
What about you? What do you collect?
I collect all sorts.
Yeah, nice.
I live in New Zealand, so I've come over for this with my friends. So the organisers nicely gave us media passes. So Lee wasn't quite surprised when I said we're from New Zealand.
Well, after a third time, I thought he's just saying this to everybody. Like,
so it was a bit of a running gag. Ultimately, in the end, but it was actually a really good talking point. People really wanted to talk to us about, you've come over so far. What's the New Zealand dollar like there? What does it get you?
It's not very good and not a lot.
Yeah, they asked us what are the shows like there, and they talked about their favourite places they've been to in New Zealand. So
I didn't have time for that kind of small talk. Toys.
No, I was. You did later on.
Yeah, I did.
So there weren't just toys for sale. There was actually a really nice custom-made stands. There was this awesome one for superpowers, and we saw pretty much the same one at Lobos, and it was pretty much full. Of the figures. I think maybe 1 or 2 accessories were missing, but seeing the stand in person.
Thank you.
Superpowers case is very nice. We saw one at Lobos, I think. Is it the same one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's put a couple, yep. It's very nice. I was saying this is where Lobos, like the case we saw at Lobos.
Oh, yeah, right.
That'd be amazing looking at home, eh? Except I'd have a few holes at the bottom.
It's all right. It gives you something to aim for.
Beautiful though, if you had that collection loose and you had that, it's just, you know, they're all covered, no dust, it's all lit up, they had little logos of all the things, so yeah, I'm not sure what that guy was called, but yeah, his displays were amazing. And didn't he have the vintage Kenner Star Wars
Yeah, he did too.
version for it as well? So that's,
and that would have been lovely to take home, but they wouldn't have fit in the Night Ravens luggage either.
no,
So.
no. So Wade, you know, you said you spent $1,000, but like, show me, you know, what are your favourites from your haul? There's a pretty random selection here.
Yeah, so I think ultimately it came down to two of my favourites being these knockoff Ninja Turtle style dinosaurs, which when I first saw them I thought they were knockoff dinosaurs, but they're actually more knockoff Ninja Turtle dinosaurs.
Yeah, are they dinosaur fighters?
Yes, I believe so. But they were just loose, didn't have any accessories, but boy, did they pop. They looked so cool.
Yeah, I like them.
They're so cool, so stupid. That I had to buy them. One of the other cool things I got, it was actually really cheap. I got some wrestling superheroes and high flyers from the WWF Collector Series on VHS. These are just the cardboard sleeves for that, and they were really cheap. And that reminds me of getting those out from when we used to go to the old video rental stores when we were young.
Yep.
So that's cool. They'll look great in my wrestling stand. And outside of wrestling, I was looking for some Hasbros. Didn't find any, but what did I find? Knockoffs. So I found next best thing. So, for example, the Hacksaw Jim Duggan knockoff with a bit of paint on his chest of a emblem, which was quite cool. And I managed to find sort of the Hulk Hogan sort of orange head knockoff.
The Hulk Hogan.
The Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan. Yeah, that's right. The Hulk Hogan with the belt. That was really cool. I did get a couple of modern figures because they're a bit harder to come by.
And because it was a vintage and modern toy fair.
Yeah, I had to come back with something modern. You know, the Flash and Ming, they were quite cool. They were nice and cheap. One of my favourite things I got was to add two of my A-Team bad guys. They are quite cool, so I've got 3 of the A-Team bad guys now. Randomly bought a Duke Nukem Boar Police from Ballard. That was quite fun. And a couple of little Inspector Gadget toys.
Yep, they're fun.
Amongst, yeah,
PVCs.
The PVCs, they're fun.
I might have slightly influenced you to, speaking of influences, to pick up that gorilla from Filmation Ghostbusters.
Yeah. And one thing I was really happy with, which I managed to get to before Lee, was the knockoffs of the Exchanges, which is really weird. I think they're early 90s, those ones. So
got a lot of the accessories with them.
Yeah, random accessories too. It's like there's 4 chucked together with a few.
Right.
So I've got bits of legs and things which don't come with the other ones, which I've got. So that's a lot of fun. So in the end, really cool show. Ended up with things I did not think I would buy, but that money was really burning a hole in there. And a couple of the $5 accessory bins. What did I get? I got a couple of really cool masks. Those are from the Split Second series, so I was happy with that. What I didn't realise for a long time was that my Max Ray backpack was actually broken, one of the tabs on it. So I managed to get this out of the $5
nice
bin.
upgrade.
Yeah, nice little upgrade on that. A couple of Pretenders helmets, which I was pretty happy with. And Uncle T's actually gave me a couple of Spydor guns for the vintage Spydor, which is pretty cool. They are broken, but with a bit of blue tack, they will sit in there and look really nice.
That's better than
nothing. So a big shout out to Uncle T for that.
Yeah, that's Tony, and also like to give him a shout out because when I was rummaging through the bins right at the start, you had a bin of Loose Master Universe, and they were $5 each or 5 for 20, and I pulled out a King Randor, and it was the only one I was really going to take just because it's rare, and I'm like, I'm sure I know someone who will want this. And I went to go give him my $5, very first purchase of the whole show, and he just said, you can have it. So yeah, thanks Tony, that was awesome. And as it turned out, someone at the show, one of our friends did need it, so won't spoil the surprise who ended up with it, but I ended up giving it to him because it was a gift to me. I didn't need it, they needed it, and so yeah, I gifted that on.
Yeah, and so outside of $1,000, I managed to come across a book which I've been looking for a long time, and it's basically a book about all of the 1980s and 1990s sort of knockoff Barbarian movies that came post Conan. So they call it the Conan exploitation, so like the exploitation. Right. So that was really cool. I just had to have that book. We Are the Two Barbarians. So it really needed to have that, and I love some of those really bad knockoff movies. Yeah. So in fact, at some point we'll do another Two Barbarians, go to the movies and just watch a couple, and you get our thoughts on that and what sort of toys we wanted from them.
Yeah.
I'm conscious here that this is Two Barbarians, and we've just shown off what the $1,000 that I spent was, because Lee's actually got his own channel called Ramageddon, and he's actually put out a video about a week earlier than this one, focusing on his own pickups. So otherwise, this probably could have been about an hour episode.
So you can watch that and see what I picked up, or you may have already watched it because it came out a week ago. But watch that if you want to see what I got, and then put it all together, combine these videos, and that was a third of our experience because it was the big day. But obviously we had 2 other days in Melbourne. We had the first day of arriving, getting parachuting out of the Night Raven, and then landing at Lobo's, some reconnaissance of toy pickups, and then the next day, Aaron's was probably the big highlight for the next day. Hunting, so.
And it might get a little bit confusing to regular viewers what's happening with the 2 channels. I mean, Two Barbarians is always going to be the Two Barbarians, unless there's something going on where...
Sometimes Wade flies solo if I'm busy, or...
And sometimes I have my own passion projects which I put out, because I don't really want to do a third channel where it's just me by myself. So Two Barbarians is that, and Lee has his own interests outside of what I sort of collect as well.
But they're all toys.
But they're all toys, and like and subscribe to both of our channels, because they're I think they complement each other really well. So it's fun, and like I said, we actually learn and grow from each other. Having Lee make his own videos too, he gives tips and hints to me about things that we could do, and we talk about what works and what doesn't work. So it's actually gone pretty well. So.
And to be fair, we have so many ideas between us. It's just easier to sometimes do our own solo things, like your Usagi video. That was really educational for me. I don't know a lot about it, so I've seen Wade's toys, but we haven't really talked a whole lot. So I got to sit down just like the other viewers and watch that and learn more about it.
And ditto with your Galaxy Warrior ones.
Oh yeah, well, there's more to come.
And at some point we will get to that Terradrome video.
From Terradrome. What about the flag?
Oh, and the flag's been promising for over 18 months, so that we'll get to.
But what will come first, your flag or my Castle of Doom?
Your Castle of Doom. I'm confident on that. We've got too many other things to get on with. But anyway, thank you again for watching that. We really hope you enjoyed watching what $1,000 gets you at Australia's monster-sized toy fair. It was a lot of fun, and we're basically already looking at going again next year and catching up. And there's apparently a little bit of a New Zealand contingent already. They've got a little bit antsy just watching, what we got up to and things and what you could buy.
Big time FOMO. A lot of our close friends have all basically, they're like, we're coming next year. I mean, it's just happened, and they're already like, no, I can't miss out next time. So that'll be fun. And Wade, just remember, the battle might be over,
but our toy shelves remain legendary.
And just remember,
we're from New Zealand.